Bun găsit! Astăzi ne aflăm la ambasada Suediei, la Chișinău, deoarece regatul Suediei, alături de celelalte state membre ale UE, dorește ca Republica Moldova să facă parte din familia europeană. Doamna ambasadoare Katarina Fried a acceptat să ne ofere un interviu exclusiv pentru TVR Moldova. Excelență, bună ziua și bine v-am găsit!
Bună ziua! Most welcome to the Swedish Embassy.
Suedia este stat membru al Uniunii Europene încă din 1995. Vă rog să ne spuneți, din perspectiva țării dumneavoastră, ce beneficii ar putea avea cetățenii Republicii Moldova, ținând cont de faptul că Republica Moldova are statut de țară candidată la UE?
First of all, I'm very happy that Moldova now is a candidate country to the European Union. We have been a member for 28 years or so, and I think after having 30 years of freedom of movement when it comes to goods, to persons traveling, to the money flows and everything like that, you kind of forget all the benefits. But it has been a tremendous asset for my country and for the development of my country. And I think in particular for the students and the young people that have managed to go to many universities across EU to get their education and learn more about our different cultures and diversity. For me personally, the EU is an amazing peace project. I think it's remarkable what we can do when we are working together, and that we have managed to keep a peaceful and economic development working together. So I think that we really need this kind of collaboration to face off the challenges of today, like the climate change, like building a joint security, and of course to promote our internal trade relations. So I think the EU for me brings hope.
Suedia continuă să aibă un parteneriat de lungă durată cu Republica Moldova pentru dezvoltarea unei societăți democratice și libere. Ce proiecte la moment sunt în desfășurare?
Well, Sweden is very proud to be a close partner with Moldova for over 20 years, I think almost 30 years soon. And we are working here on a regional strategy which is covering the Eastern Partnership countries for the period of 2021 to 2027. In this strategy we have a special section focusing on human rights, gender equality, the rule of law and democracy. In this area we work with many partners within the civil society, but also international organizations, and I like to mention UNDP and UN Women, to mention two of them that we are working most closely with. We are addressing everything in the range coming from anti-corruption to reforming of the judicial system, to strengthening the penitentiary system, to trying to reach those furthest behind and those that are struggling with particular challenges, like rural women, like persons from the LGBTQI community. I think also I like to particularly highlight the efforts that we're doing together with other partners. For instance, UN Women and the Women's Law Center on trying to end violence against women.
Suedia este un susținător al drepturilor omului și democrației în Republica Moldova, unde se simt carențele și de cât timp are nevoie țara ca să înregistreze progrese în acest sens?
Well, I think promoting and strengthening human rights and the rule of law and democracy is an ongoing job for any country. It's nothing that you really ever are finished with. I think during the last 10 years we've really seen how fragile our democracies can be, and that this is really we need to continue to work on all of these aspects. For Moldova, the new status as a candidate country means that the government has signed up to gradually ensure that all the legislation on human rights, on democracy, on gender equality and the rule of law will be aligned with the EU regulations. And this reform process is of course a very broad one, but it's going to be so crucial for Moldova to manage to strengthen the mechanism that you have in place to safeguard these kind of rights.
Excelență, câți bani investește anual Suedia în Republica Moldova?
Well, actually last year I think we almost tripled our support to the Republic of Moldova as a consequence of the Russian aggression in Ukraine. We had a reform cooperation amounting to 20 million euros. We had also, in addition to that, 18 million euros coming in for humanitarian support to cover the consequences of the war in Ukraine. In addition to that, there is also funds coming in from regional streams as well as directly from our Minister for Foreign Affairs, but it's quite substantial numbers. For this year, we will have a budget here for the Reform Cooperation around 14 million euros, and we're still a little bit too soon to say what we will be able to add on to address the consequences of the war when it comes to humanitarian efforts and other initiatives.
Suedia oferă sprijin și susținere Republicii Moldova, dar ce poate oferi în schimb Republica Moldova Suediei?
Well, to be very honest, I don't think that we are expecting any particular things in exchange for our reform support and the humanitarian support. This is here to help Moldova. Sweden has a very long tradition of working with the development cooperation, and this is because we really realize that your challenges are actually also our challenges. When we have happy and prosperous neighbors, it's a benefit also for us. So we would like to help you build a prosperous country and a secure country, and that will in a longer perspective also help us. This is not the same as saying that you are not contributing with things, because you definitely are. You are helping us now to support Ukraine. You are doing a lot of things in connection to this, and we have a lot of things that we can also learn from your experiences. I think that this is going to be a mutual, very beneficial partnership also in the future.
Ce domenii din țara noastră ar putea prezenta interes investitorilor suedezi?
To be honest, I think our trade relations are not the strongest link we have between our countries at the moment. There is definitely room for increased trade between us. We have a few Swedish companies present in Moldova, and there is definitely room for more. I'll be happy to work in that regard. I think when Moldova has so much to offer. When we are working very much strategically within our reform cooperation to help Moldovan companies to find new ways to get into the EU market and to become more competitive in the EU market and also in the Swedish market. So the sectors that we have identified within the reform cooperation covers, I think in particular, the ICT sector. It's the textile industry that we've been working with, the tourism sector, I think now we should also add energy and energy efficiency to this list. I think also there is definitely room for more Moldovan agriculture product to reach Sweden. We are happy to see Swedish apples, Moldovan apples in Sweden, and of course the Moldovan wines are also available in our monopoly, which is also, I think, something that we could expand further.
De când au fost stabilite relațiile diplomatice dintre Suedia și Republica Moldova, 4 femei ambasadoare și-au desfășurat misiunea în țara noastră. E o coincidență sau e un sistem echilibrat în diplomația suedeză?
I believe it's actually a coincidence, but I'm very proud to be the 4th female ambassador of Sweden here in the Republic of Moldova. In Sweden today we have almost 50% of the ambassadors are female, so there's a number of more colleagues that come and join me afterwards. I think worldwide it's only 15% that are female ambassadors, so there's still room for more of us globally. And I hope that you put this question also to my male colleagues to ensure that they get this signal back to their capitals. I love them all, but I think there are room for more female ambassadors in Chișinău.
Știm că în Suedia se pune mare accent pe egalitatea de gen. Ce ar trebui să facă Republica Moldova pentru a schimba unele lucruri de aici?
I think I would really encourage you to invest in gender equality at all levels. Investing in gender equality means that you have happier families and you boost your economy. It's like a complete win-win. I would say that our investment in gender equality in Sweden is one of the main reasons behind our economic development. If you do not allow half of the population to work and contribute to society, you will lose out tremendously. But I think also we see a lot of progress happening here in Moldova. There has been a lot of steps taken, for instance, against the fight against violence against women and girls and domestic violence with the ratification of the Istanbul Convention. We see that there are progress done when it comes to women leadership and decision making. And we have also seen advancement when it comes to childcare services and equal pay. So things are happening, but there's definitely scope for doing even more.
Excelență, și astăzi suedezii rămân a fi cei mai mari consumatori de ziare din lume?
I think so. We have a very long tradition with a very strong broadcasting and newspapers businesses in Sweden. And a few years back, 8 out of 10 Swedish households had the preparation of some sort of a news outlet. Of course, during the last decade, also Swedish media companies have been trying to adapt to the digital area, and we see that there are now less people that are buying paper newspapers, that they're going over to the digital media, but we still have, I think, 1/3 of the households having actually paying for digital media as well, so there's still a very strong appetite for media in Sweden.
Ce impresii v-ați făcut atunci când ați venit în Republica Moldova pentru prima dată?
I think I was struck by the very warm hospitality of the people here in Moldova. Of course, you have a beautiful landscape, so reminding me of home in the southern part of Sweden, and it's really lovely here. I really much enjoy the good food and the nice drinks that you have in the country, and I don't think it took too long for me to fall in love with Moldova as a whole.
Ce lucruri ați învățat la noi și ce locuri ați reușit să vizitați?
I think I've learned that when Moldovans set their mind to something, they can move mountains. That they have a very certain form of determination that really can make a difference. I've also learned, of course, a lot about winemaking, plăcintes, and pickling. I think I've been all over Moldova, both as part of my role as an ambassador, but also in my free time. I managed to go from the north to the south and from the east to the west. On my to-do list is still to go and see the harbor in the south, and I'm also really longing to see what I've heard is very beautiful landscapes in the northeast.
Excelență, ce mesaj aveți pentru cetățenii Republicii Moldova?
I think I like to reinforce that you're brilliant. Maybe you don't even feel and see that every day, but that's really the case. When you set your mind to something, you can really change things when you unite. And I do hope that you will unite behind the European path. We need you in the EU. You have showed us such resilience during this last 1.5 years. Despite the challenges that have been thrown against you, you have managed to not only open up your homes for refugees, managing the energy crisis, getting almost independent of Russian gas, you have achieved the candidate status to the European Union, and most and for all, you have managed to keep the peace in the countries. We have so much to learn from you, so please be brave, do endure, even when the times are going to be challenging. I see that we will have rocky roads for the entire European region the coming years, but I really want to see you among us to build the new European Union and a joint future.
Excelență, vă mulțumim pentru timpul acordat și pentru amabilitate. Vă dorim numai bine și să mai avem ocazii pentru alte și alte interviuri.
Vă mulțumesc pentru atenție și bun succes!